They are viviparous. That's a mammal now, remember. And remember, viviparous means that they give birth to their young. They breathe through lungs. They have got a skeleton with a backbone and a skull or a cranium. Now, they drink milk from their mother. So this is it. Something interesting with a mammal. A mammal suckles their young until they reach a certain stage, and even sometimes when they reach a certain, until they reach a specific age, there is still that bond. That's the thing with mammals. They form bonds with their young. So, and that bond is usually formed because of the nurturing process. All right. Then we have what we call our vertebrates. Now the vertebrates, yes, they have, for example, the birds, because they are oviparous, yes, they lay eggs, they generally lay 1 to 17 eggs at a time. Then we have our reptiles. They are generally also oviparous, but there are some viparous reptiles. They have got scales and dry skin. They usually lay eggs and the babies then grow inside the egg until they are ready to come out. Sometimes reptiles will give birth like mammals without eggs. Interesting, right? Then we have the amphibians. Now these are oviparous. They lay eggs. They lay thousands of eggs, that is. And their eggs are sometimes soft. So when you think about the amphibians, you think about the frog. Soft, jelly-like eggs. So amphibian means double life. Double life because they spend a part of their life in water and a part of their life on land. So, let's still continue with the vertebrates. So we know that our fish, the fish are vertebrates. Now, yes, I know you're going to go there. But sir, what about the dolphin and the whale? Yes, they are mammals because they do give live birth and suckle the young. They are mammals. They are warm-blooded. So fish, they are generally oviparous. They are small. They lay many, many eggs. So the dolphin and the whale, they are not fish. So, well, you'd say, let's not say they are not fish, period, because they do have certain features in the sense of they have a tail and they have dorsal, some have the dorsal fin and so forth. But that's somewhat deep. Let's not get into all of that. But they are mammals. That's what I want to send home. All right. So there are some sea animals which are viviparous or mammals like whales, dolphins, seals, walruses, polar bears. That's what I just want to get to you. They are mammals. All right. So here we have the land mammal, there we have the reptiles, and you can see the difference. Here we have the birds and we have the amphibians. Now the amphibians tend to have web-like feet, if you can see that, and moist, smooth skin with no hair. Now the bird there seems as if they are willing to feed on the amphibian. Well, that's usually the case. Birds tend to feed on amphibians. Birds are omnivorous, so they'll feed on amphibians because amphibians are somewhat smaller. Then we have the fish, and when I spoke about the fin, that's what I was talking about. Now they tend to carry scale though, and they breathe through their gills. Now the dolphin and the whale breathe in a different way. Now our mammals are said to be warm-blooded animals. So there's a difference between warm-blooded and cold-blooded. So our mammals are warm-blooded while our reptiles are cold-blooded. All right. So body temperature stays the same when it's cold or hot. And that is why there is a certain, you find that for the reptiles, when it becomes a certain temperature, they become dormant, or so they don't move about. Like there was a time when there was some change within the weather pattern, and the iguanas in Florida, I believe, they just started, you can go and check it for yourself, they just started to fall from the trees. They just fall from the trees because the temperature changed on them and they just became frozen. However, they did not die. When the temperature came back to its regular, they just thawed out and got up and went moving about. Interesting, right? So mammals have hair or fur. They give birth to live young. They nurse their young, meaning they mother them with milk. They have lungs and need air to breathe. That is why I said the whale and the dolphin breathes in a different way. If you realize the whale and the dolphin, they must come to the surface to get air. Mammals that live on land have 4 legs and ears that stick out. They are warm-blooded. Reptiles have scales, not fur. They have dry skin. They usually lay eggs. They sometimes give birth to live young. And their air, you see, it's interesting now, their air is just usually the holes. Just usually holes they have. And they are sometimes 4 legs or no legs at all. And they are considered to be cold-blooded. Then our birds, as we know, they have feathers. They lay eggs. They too just have holes as their air. However, they are warm-blooded. Or amphibians, they live on land and in water. And remember, amphibian means both life. They are webbed feet. They breathe with their lungs and their gills, and they are cold-blooded. Please bear that in mind. And they tend to have very moist, soft skin, and they lay many eggs. Then our fish, they breathe underwater. They use gills and not lungs, and they have scales and fin, no hair, no fur. They are also cold-blooded, and like the amphibians, they lay many eggs. Now, I want for you to have a quick look on this classification of animals for me, the vertebrates and the invertebrates. So here we have the vertebrates. So these are animals that have backbone, vertebrates. Please remember that. Then we have our invertebrates. And these are animals that do not have a backbone. Later down you are going to be here when we talk about the flatworm and all of those things, and the arthropods and so forth. Now, as human beings, we consume both vertebrates and invertebrates. That's some persons, because you know, based on your religious beliefs and your practices, you might not consume certain invertebrates or invertebrates any at all. And that's something within our culture. All right. So mammals, remember, have fur or hair, feed young on milk, are warm-blooded. So the cow, the goat, the sheep, yeah man, the good old goat that we love to use to make the curry goat, they are They are mammals. Now, before we go, I want for us to try to create a linkage between our animals and our plants. Now, this is my question. Here we have our plants. Can our animals survive without our plants? No, they cannot, because based on the plants, certain specific environments are needed, or they create rather that specific environment for that specific animal life. So also based on the types of plants present, different animals may require them for food. So for example, when you think about the tomato plant as a herb, when you think about the shrubs, as well as those climbers, particularly many of those climbers provide rich sources of food for the different animals, such as the birds. Now, time is running, but I want for you again, I'm going to conclude today's lesson with you watching the recap of our previous class relating to plants, and then I want for you to also make a relation between the plants and the animals.
Hello kids, welcome. Today's topic is very familiar to us, and the topic is about plant. Bongo is confused. Can you help him to identify the plant types? So let's start. We see many different kinds of plant around us. They have different shapes and different sizes. Some are big and some are small. Now, types of plants. There are 5 different types of plants.
Okay, so boys and girls, we're going to go back to the video. But I just want to say to you, go on the outside, observe your environment, try to identify any of the different animal classifications that we made reference to earlier. Having done that, I want for you to make a linkage, as I said earlier, with any specific plant classification to see which depends on which. So does this animal depend on this particular plant classification? So that's it for today on eHomeschool Grade 4 Science Lab. Have yourself a wonderful day and continue watching the video.
It's the EHSN PEP edition. Stay tuned.
Lifespan Spring Water Dash and Win is back. Grab 2 500ml or 1.5 litre bottles. Peel and enter the code for a chance to win your share of over $3 million in cash and prizes. Lucky participants earn a chance to win $10,000 every day until Christmas, as well as includes 3-gallon bottles of water, 5-gallon bottles of water, and gift bags of Lifespan goodies. One grand prize winner will receive $1 million cash. Dash and win this summer with Lifespan Spring Water. Promotion runs from August 10 to December 4, 2020. Must be 18 years or older to participate.
The exciting drama never stops on your drama station, CVM TV. It's Drama Days. Madhubala, weekdays at 1 p.m. with a repeat weekdays at midnight and a Saturday marathon at 3 p.m. Forever Yours, weekdays at 1:30 p.m. with a repeat weekdays at 12:30 a.m. and a Sunday marathon at noon. Teresa, weekdays at 6:30 p.m. and It Seems Beautiful, weekdays at 7 p.m. with a Saturday marathon at noon. Drama Days happen only on CVM TV.
We bring you the history makers, record breakers, and the prominent leaders across the various sporting disciplines.
There's always something new.
From the field to the court, on the track, and so much more to satisfy your sporting needs. Come journey with us on Talking Sports every Thursday night, live on CVM TV at 9 p.m.
Street Link with Kern Spencer on Saturdays at 6 p.m.
Super K Studios.
Travel Access TV.
Spencer's Ventures, creating tomorrow today.
Kai Constructions.
The Helpline Foundation. The Music Channel. Digital distribution and promotion.
And BOJTV.com is more than a website, it's Jamaican lifestyle.
We welcome you to Temple Square in Salt Lake City for music and the spoken word.
Music and the spoken word, Saturdays at 5, 6, and 7:30 a.m. and Sundays at 5 a.m.
This is Bishop Dr. Gigi Cooper, your television pastor, inviting you to join me every Sunday morning from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. here on CVM, the only station you will need. 60 minutes of Holy Ghost anointed, burden removing, yoke destroying, praise, celebration.
I'm Captain Stay-Ho.
He's cute, he's strong, he's brave.
Sanitize, wear a mask, save lives. He's Captain Stay-Ho.
Wait! My sanitizer meter's going off. There's dirty danger somewhere. It's Captain Stay-Ho. Yao Ute. Always wash your hands. Hygiene is very important, especially in these times. When you go to the bathroom, wash your hands like this. If there's no water, then use hand sanitizer. It's Captain Stay-Ho, helping save lives.
Stay-Ho saves lives.
Welcome back. You're watching the EHSN Pep Edition.
And in studio, for the benefit of the shooting, I will be working with markers. We would have defined last week what a drawing is, and we would have said that it is a picture that is made up of lines, predominantly of lines, on a flat surface. We also would have indicated to our viewers last week that any object at all or image that we would encounter in our natural environment predominantly is made up of geometric shapes. All those images are constructed from geometric shapes, as is seen in this hen here, where the body of it is represented using an oval, the neck using a triangle, the legs triangle, so on and so forth. So once we're able to see those basic geometric shapes that makes up the image, it helps us to simplify our drawings and to execute same with more proficiency. Now we also went over what a shape is versus what a form is, and we would have indicated last week that a shape is two-dimensional in nature, and that 2D really means two measurements, right? And that a shape is really an enclosed line. We also would have explored forms and what they are. Now it is said that forms are basically enclosed volume, and in this instance we want to show more than two measurements or two dimensions. It is three-dimensional, and so in this instance we would have a height, length, and width. So it's more or less a representation, a linear representation of an object that appears to be solid. We also would have demonstrated how to go about using these basic shapes to draw or represent an artwork, transitioning from shape to form. And we would have indicated last week that how we get the object from shape to form is by adding a third dimension, as is seen in the cup to our right. So the first cup that we're looking at that is represented in those strong lines are basically the ones that will be showing you the shape or outline of the cup, whilst the other to your right would be showing you the top of the cup and what appears to be the side. So we would have introduced not just height and width, but we would have also introduced depth as well. And so last week we would have concluded our lesson, and this is where we stopped. We would have demonstrated how we use basic shapes to construct this composition, which features the saucer with 2 slices of bread, the June plum, and the plastic cup there. When you look at the image here though in the picture, what you will notice is that it appears to be more solid than what is represented in the drawing. Note, the drawing is a linear representation, or is a drawing made up predominantly of lines, and so it has this X-ray quality to it. Whereas, and when I say X-ray, basically what I mean is that you can see through the objects, and we don't necessarily want to see through the objects. So how do we get the image on our right, which is our line drawing, to appear more solid as the one that is to our left? Now here's a representation of how that can be done. How do we move from here to here? Basically what we would have to do is introduce a third element, because so far we would have only used 2 elements of art to develop this artwork. We would have used lines and shape. Now we are going to introduce an element that will help our image to have a more solid appearance, and that element is value. Now a lot of us in our daily lives will come across value in some way or another. Value is basically it basically will manifest itself as light shines onto a form, as is seen in this image. Now as the light touches the surface of the form, what you will find is that the light at that point would be the brightest, and then at the back side of the form it will block the light, causing what is known as a form shadow. Now the transition between the lighted area and the dark area, that subtle transition from light to dark, is what we refer to as value. So values can be light as well as they can be dark. Here's a representation of what is known as a value scale. Let me just recap quickly so everyone can follow. Value basically is the lightness of or darkness of colors or tones. But in this context, we'll be working with tones. So it's the lightness or darkness of tones. Okay? And to the bottom of our screen, where we have this strip that is transitioning from dark to light, that is basically what we refer to as a value scale. And so in this drawing here, we perhaps would have included the use of the number 2 value to do the side of the bread right there, and we perhaps would have used maybe 3 or 5 to do it as well. So in this drawing we have approximately 3 or 4 values that we include in the drawing to help it to have that solid look. And the values are used again to represent shadow, that is shadows that are on the form, and then also casted shadows, and those are those shadows that would fall to the ground as the object blocks the light. It's very much like when we stand in front of the light, we block the light and our shadows fall to the earth. So we refer to that as casted shadows. So let us get right into it at this time. For the interest of time, we will only be focusing on the saucer and the 2 slices of bread for today's demonstration. I will be using 2 color markers, the blue and the black. The blue will be used to sketch the object, and then the black I will use to shade the object. The shading technique that we'll be using today is going to be hatching, not cross hatching, hatching. Okay, so just let's get right to it. And so we, as stated last week, let us start by constructing our plate. Right? And if you notice, we started with what looks like a diamond here. We're going to curve this corner. We're going to curve this corner. Then we're going to curve up the top. We're going to curve the bottom. Okay? And that's basically how we're going to go about executing our plate. Now we know that in the saucers they normally have a rim. So we're going to go ahead and include that rim. Now, for the bread, we know that there's a vertical line here and it comes all the way to this end. And so we're going to draw a line here, and then this one comes more or less to the top here. We'll draw another vertical line here, vertical line here. All these lines must be parallel as stated last week. This line as well must be parallel. Then we are going to try our very best using estimation in this instance to draw this line parallel to this one. They must be running in the same direction, same angle. And then this line here, we're going to draw another one over here, also running in the same direction. So they must be parallel. And that would be the first slice of bread. Okay, the next one is kind of twisted on top of this one, and so we are going to start it right here with another vertical line, and we're going to end it here. Then we're going to perhaps send it all the way up to this section. Okay, another vertical line here, or perhaps this line could go a little bit more towards the end like that. We're going to join this one, then we're going to come all the way up here and send this line vertical in the same direction to all of these lines that are standing up in the same exact direction. Then we connect these ones here. Now, for the benefit of those who are watching at home, this might look like a bunch of crazy lines, but these are our sketch lines. This is what we use to guide the construction of that final image. And they're very important. It looks a bit X-ray, but this is what we must do if we hope to construct. So now we're going to, from this, we're going to try and get the shape of the bread. We notice that at the top of the bread sometimes it has this nice little curve, and so we're going to move away from that rigid line, and we're going to soften the corners by rounding them a bit down at the base here. We're going to do the same for this slice at the bottom. Anything you do at the top, you do at the bottom, almost like a simultaneous equation. And then you curve this in, and that basically would be both slices of bread. And so there we have our X-ray drawing. Now, for the benefit of those again at home and for clarity, I'm going to remove some of these lines on the inside, so we are able to discern clearly the image that we're supposed to be looking at. Okay, so we're going to just take these ones out. Take these construction lines out to reveal the image that we intend for us to see, and which is one of the reasons why we always indicate to persons to try and ensure that these lines, when you're drawing with your pencil, that they're as light as possible. It gives you room to go ahead and make them darker as you go along. Okay, now I'm going to do a little rough sketch to the stop here to explain to you how all of this shading will actually work. Now let us say, for argument's sake, we had a flashlight up in the top here. Okay? And the light is shining down like this. Let's say we had a ball here. Okay, I'm going to show you how it all works, the science between it all. Right where this light, and light rays travel in a straight line. Our science teacher will affirm that. So from here to here, the light perhaps would have been blocked by this half of the circle. But look at what happens. When we get to the ground, from the edge of the light here, we create an ellipse right to the edge of the light and right to the edge here, and that actually forms the shadow for our image. And so if we go ahead and shade this half of our image and shade this half right here, that is basically what would constitute our drawing, where we would have used, in this instance, one value to represent the ball and the light that is hitting it from above. So this is basically it. We need to establish the direction of the light, and the direction of the light will establish where the shadows will fall. So we're going to go ahead and see how best we can apply this principle to our 2 slices of bread here in this particular drawing. Okay, so we're going to say the light is coming in this direction. We're going to use our black marker now at this point. So it's coming in this direction. So it's going to hit this surface first. And because it's going to hit this surface first, the top of the bread is going to be the lightest. So towards the side of the bread, this side and this side would be blocking the light, but one more so than the other. And I am assuming, based on my observation, that this side would perhaps be darker. This side would be darker. And that essentially starts to give the illusion that this is actually a solid object, because we are given the impression that this is now blocking the light. Now on this side of it, it might not be as bright. And so what we do is we don't make this part as dark as that initial section. So we use smaller lines and we space them out more. And in the instance where you're using your pencils at home, the more pressure you apply to the pencil, what will happen is that the brighter the lines, or the darker rather, the lines will be or appear. We also may go ahead and indicate the texture of the bread by putting different size dots on it, on the surface of our bread, like so. And the casted now, because we're suggesting that the light is coming this way, more or less, we also would have to indicate to some extent where the bread now would perhaps form a shadow on the plate itself, and then the plate would form a shadow on the ground in this sort of direction. So we're going to shade that in. Alright, so our next step is we are now going to go ahead and put some strong lines in here to differentiate the different, to help to give clarity to the different objects that we're looking at. Okay, and maybe I need to put this up a little bit more. Okay, so here in comes the black marker. So what we normally suggest is that we would indicate to the base, right at the base here. There's absolutely no way the light can get under there, and so it would be appropriate for us to indicate that aspect of the bread using a very strong line, a dark line. It can be as solid as you want. And the same for here, because whenever you have two objects sitting on a surface, there's no way the light can get under it. And that's how we can go about representing sin using a very strong light to those areas. And creases as well can be represented in light manner. As we move away and get to areas now where the light is more intense, or there's a greater abundance of light, we can now start to reduce that harsh line and represent it in a little bit more in a lightened manner. We're gonna once again darken this section using our black. Try and get it a bit darker. And so now we're introducing a little cross hatching to get it a bit darker. Hopefully that is working. Okay. So the line under here is going to be a really solid line. A solid line. And the line over here too is going to be a solid line. And so what we essentially would have done for this drawing, we would have indicated, or we would have utilized rather, approximately 3 values to suggest how light is playing on the form. And so let us look at those 3 values to see how best we can understand their usage. So over here, we're now going to be looking at 3 values. And so the first one, if this marker will work with me, if not, thank the heavens, we have a lot. So that would have been our first value. Then we have our second value, not being as dark, so value number 2. And then our third value, third and final, we space the lines a bit more to widen them. So we have value number 1, 2, 3. So basically, value number 1 can be used, or maybe 1.5 can be used to represent the sides of the bread, like so. Then value number 2 may be used to represent the face, the side, well, the face right here, which is that front section. And then the top can be used, 3 can be used to represent it. And so we have 3 different values that we're actually using to represent these 2. And that gives the drawing a more solid look as opposed to what we would have shown earlier. So if you look in this image here again, what you will see is the X-ray version where we have the bread and we have the construction lines behind it, and you can't really, it's almost like it looks three-dimensional, like you can take it up. However, we can see that you can basically see all the way through it. While the image on our right, that is actually shaded using the hatch technique, what you find is that it looks a little bit more solid, and we would have captured two effects of our three-dimensional qualities. That being, we would have captured the shadows, and we would have captured lighting to represent form. Texture to some extent because of the lines, the dots that would have been used on the surface, and we would have captured our casted shadow. And so basically that's all there is to it. It's very simple. That's how we go about executing or representing two-dimensional, transitioning from two-dimensional shapes into what is known as a linear form, that is the lines that is used to communicate form, and then to have it look more solid or to capture more characteristics of form such as texture and shadow and highlights and so forth, then we would have to incorporate the use of values. I thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you learned a lot. Until next time, I am Sean Lawton. I'll see you soon.
EHSN Pep Edition. Stay tuned.
Let's go with the satin finish.
Come chat with me. New York's #1 Caribbean lifestyle magazine.
I'm alive, my Jamaica is on the verge of being the place to be.
Bringing you all that is new and entertaining in the Caribbean American community.
The mountain and the good wife.
Come chat with me.
At 5:30 p.m.
One way or the other, I will get Pihu back. My time is up. Now it's your turn to live alone.
I don't want her to see her parents fighting in the court. All I want is for her to always smile and lead a normal childhood.
It seems beautiful. Weekdays at 7 p.m. with a repeat marathon Saturdays at noon. Only on your drama station, CVM TV.
Catch the repeat of On Stage with Winford Williams at its new time and day, this and every Wednesday at 10 p.m. So, On Stage with Winford Williams airs Saturdays at 9 p.m. with a repeat on Wednesday at 10 p.m. on your entertainment choice, CVM TV.
What are you going to do now? Are you going to prove that you learned your lesson and stay with the man you love? Or you'll leave him for someone who has more money?
Your ambition was much greater because you wanted Arturo's money. You're the filthiest of all, Teresa.
Your daughter and I will be your neighbor.
What?
Yes, Teresa. We're going to live here for the meantime, where Chinita used to live.
Are you seriously going to bring me back to this place?
I'm Captain Stay-Ho.
He's cute. He's strong. He's brave.
Sanitize, wear a mask, save lives. He's Captain Stay Home.
This is Stay Home.
Captain, I need help because...
Hello? Hello? Little Missy! Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Clearly useless in an emergency. Thank God for the sanitizer meter when there's danger.
I can't find Mommy!
Missy, I just went to get milk.
Ma'am, never ever leave your daughter alone. It's not safe. Take care, little one. It's Captain Stay Home, helping save lives.
Captain Stay Home saves lives.
Don't know.